Chapter 11 The Magical Power of Appearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two did not continue to ask other questions, and Chen Changliu was happy to save his words. However, when they returned, instead of returning to the small hotel, Crocodile took them directly to an empty small warehouse. According to him, this was the warehouse used by his parents before. Chen Changliu was not hypocritical. After all, the next plan also required a point for receiving and shipping. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the 6 people gathered at their temporary base. Tonight will be divided into 3 groups. All the other people are excited and nervous. Chen Changliu understands this feeling, just like when he first entered the society and worked as a salesperson. He couldn't open his mouth and didn't dare to sell to customers, and he didn't have skilled sales skills. What's more, they are just high school graduates, so this is why he asked everyone to come at 5 o'clock. He wants to give them intensive training and use scenarios of sales terms, which is a simulation exercise. I won't say any more nonsense. You all know what we are going to do tonight. This is our own business, so we can only succeed and not fail. Last night, you also watched me selling to customers. You may feel embarrassed. Actually, I am the same. I did a lot of psychological preparation before I said it. When Chen Changliu said this, the other 5 people looked strange. Do you call this a lot of psychological preparation? How come you are so skilled in shouting as soon as we see the stall is set up? Chen Changliu also saw everyone's expressions, but he was too lazy to pay attention and started the simulation drill. After an hour of intensive training, it looks like a good job. At least some of the most commonly used terms in the sales process can be used skillfully in front of him, especially Li Ping and Feng Qian. Okay, our intensive training ends here. You can only experience many things when you go to sell in person. We are divided into 3 sales points. I suggest that the group with the lowest sales tonight should treat everyone to supper, and the money will be deducted from the future dividends. How about it? No objection. Chen Changliu's proposal was passed unanimously, and Chen Changliu could also see their fighting desire. After all, no one wants to be suppressed by others. Also, our small group needs an accountant to do statistics in the future. I suggest that Du Jiqiu be responsible for it. Do you have any objections? Chen Changliu's words made Du Jiqiu stunned for a moment, and then he quickly shook his head and refused. I can't do it. I haven't done these. She was originally just because of Chen Changliu's family. She was in danger of dropping out of school, so she helped Chen Changliu within her ability. Then it evolved into joining the gang, just wanting to experience social experience, but her refusal was useless, and the others passed with 5 votes. Chen Changliu gave her the invoice for today's purchase and the remaining money to enter into her account, and Du Jiqiu had no choice but to accept it. This time the purchase price was lower, and Chen Changliu also lowered the selling price a bit, in order to promote sales. At 7 p.m., Fulan Street, the same place as last night, Chen Changliu had already set up the stall. Today's goods were sufficient, and he and Du Jiqiu took 80 t-shirts and 70 pairs of pants. Setting up a street stall for sales is boring, but also full of a sense of accomplishment. Every time you sell a piece of clothing and receive money, you can feel happy. Du Jiqiu was at a loss at the beginning, blushing from time to time, but when she sold a set of clothes herself, her little face flushed with excitement. Grabbing Chen Changliu's arm, she said, "Chen Changliu, I sold it, I sold it." Chen Changliu looked at Du Jiqiu with interest, like a child who had obtained a favorite toy, and remembered that when he succeeded in his first sale in his previous life, he was the same as Du Jiqiu now. After that, Du Jiqiu was like chicken blood, and the whole person was very positive. Then Chen Changliu sadly found that he seemed to be unable to sell better than Du Jiqiu, especially some single men. It was simply that when Chen Changliu talked to them, they always looked at him with a disgusted look. For the first time, Chen Changliu really saw the magical ability that appearance represents everything, which was simply a physical attack that beat him. So what if you have better sales skills? So what if you have a more enthusiastic smile and attitude? In front of appearance, especially in front of the level of beautiful school beauties, it is simply vulnerable. The aunts and uncles at the stalls next to them were jealous. Seeing that there was never a shortage of people in front of Chen Changliu's stall, Chen Changliu could see their jealous eyes from time to time. TSK, I wanted to take you flying, but who knew that I was the joke, and in the end I was taken flying by you. Chen Changliu looked at Du Jiqiu with sweat on his forehead, and suddenly felt a little distressed, and went to the side to buy a bottle of iced mineral water. Du Jiqiu had just sold a t-shirt when a bottle of mineral water was suddenly handed over to him. Du Jiqiu, here, drink some water, and take a break. Let me do it, leave some opportunities for me, otherwise I will become a decoration. Du Jiqiu was not polite, and smiled at Chen Changliu. After taking the mineral water, she found that the bottle cap had been unscrewed for her. You can't tell, he is quite careful. At 12 o'clock in the evening, the three groups of people had returned to the temporary base. Although everyone looked very tired, they were very excited. As soon as he saw Chen Changliu, Pang Wei shouted, "Rogue, I like the feeling of collecting money too much, huh." Everyone started chatting one after another. In short, they were timid at the beginning, but gradually they got better and started to enjoy the process. After counting, Chen Changliu found that the other two groups had basically sold 70% of the goods, and they themselves had sold 85%, leaving too little to sell. This was not unexpected to him. It was normal for some night market stalls to sell 3,000 to 5,000 in one night. What's more, Feng Qian and Li Ping were also beautiful girls, which also had a bonus effect. After everyone's statistics, tonight's results finally came out. Du Jiqiu held a notebook and said, "Okay, I'll report our performance tonight. Tonight we sold a total of 7,896 yuan. And the remaining backlog of goods is 46 t-shirts and 38 pairs of pants. If they are sold, it is conservatively estimated that they can still sell for 3,000 yuan. We spent a total of 5,900 yuan on purchasing goods, which means that we have made a net profit of 2,000 yuan before we have sold all the goods." Wow, so much. Are we so good? It seems that there is no problem in earning enough tuition this summer. When the time comes, I will return the tuition to my dad. I wonder how he will scold me. Chapter 12. Let me check your conscience to see if you are lying. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Changliu revealed the source of the out-of-order goods, and the three women were very happy. You must know that this is their own money, and the sense of accomplishment is unmatched by anything else. In fact, Chen Changliu could have accumulated another 10 days and a half and done it alone, but he brought the five of them to do it together, and he was not the holy mother of Chen Changliu, not to mention Zhao Lin and Pang Wei, two best friends in the past life and this life. The friendship between them for more than 10 years was worthy of his guidance. After Du Jiqiu, Li Ping, and Feng Qian learned about his affairs, not only did they not look down upon him, but they also actively helped him without any reward. Chen Changliu didn't want to lose such a classmate with upright views. Of course, the main point is that Du Jiqiu is beautiful, and his two best friends are also a little jealous of the other two women. In fact, the most important point is that it would be very tiring for Chen Changliu to do it alone. It would be difficult to mobilize enough classmates. With 5 of them joining, it would be twice the result with half the effort. After all, the summer vacation is short and cannot be delayed. This is the case in the business world. Sometimes eating alone may not necessarily make more money. Moreover, a few people knew what he was going through and helped him regardless of reward, which was rare. Now he is reborn as a 19-year-old. Affected by this body, his mentality seems to be young again, but his experience is still there. In his past and present life, he has always adhered to the principle of being a human being. If others respect me, I will respect others. If others treat me well, I will not be stingy with others. Chen Changliu began to assign tasks, which was to identify classmates with trustworthy character, preferably those from relatively poor families. Not only will this help students, but they will also be more engaged, which is a double win. In the end, Chen Changliu decided on a basic salary of 30 yuan a day, plus an additional yuan commission for each piece of clothing sold. He also set a sales bottom line. If he failed to meet the standards within 3 days, the cooperation would be terminated. It's not that he can't trust others. Yu Dao knows people well but doesn't know their hearts. There is no shortage of people who work for foreigners in this society. After all, even if they only get a basic salary of 30 yuan a day, the salary is much better than that of ordinary waiters on the market today. After confirming all the details, the day's work is over, and the man is also responsible for sending the girl home. After 2 days of contact, Chen Changliu and Du Jiqiu could be said to have become friends, and they talked more casually. Beauty of Du University, aren't your parents worried about you when you go back so late in the past 2 days? Aren't they worried that their cabbage will be eaten by pigs? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Seeing the confusion on Du Jiqiu's face, Chen Changliu was speechless. The internet is not popular enough now, and there are relatively few memes. He doesn't remember if there are any memes about Zhu Gong Bai Kai. It's okay, it just means your parents are not afraid that you will be abducted by others, right? Hearing Chen Changliu's explanation, Du Jiqiu had only a vague understanding. My mother was transferred to Lingnan province a few months ago, and my father is often away from home on business trips. Besides, I'm an adult, how could I be abducted by others? I'm not a child who doesn't understand anything. TCH, you know everything, so let me ask you, where I live, there is a girl upstairs who is really pitiful. She is beaten by her boyfriend every night until she screams, but her boyfriend beats her twice every time. I stopped playing in a few minutes. Do you know why? Du Jiqiu thought about it for a moment at first, but he quickly reacted and chased after Chen Changliu. Chen Changliu was caught by her on purpose after all. He endured several blows from the 9 white bone claws and accepted Du Jiqiu's indiscriminate bombardment on him. Her unruly side began to show up again. Chen Changliu, why are you so dirty in your mind? The nickname gangster is really not wrong at all. Thinking about it, I regret it now. I actually agreed to set up a street stall with you. I am so angry. Chen Changliu said aggrievedly, Hey, Du University beauty, how could I act like a gangster? You are not talking about the school, are you? It's unfair, I dare to touch my conscience and say that I don't have it, but you dare to touch my conscience to say that I am indecent. Did you? Chen Changliu put his right hand on his chest as he spoke. The furious Du Jiqiu did not doubt that he was there, so he put his right hand on his chest and said. Why don't I dare? I can tell you now with my conscience that you just deliberately took advantage of me. Isn't that called a hooligan? Chen Changliu's eyes widened. Du Jiqiu, who was wearing a t-shirt, had his chest straightened out. Such an action that touched his conscience was full of temptation for Chen Changliu. He remembered the feeling of that day again. However, he hid his eyes very well and continued. Hey Du Jiqiu, you are simply lying against your conscience, won't your heart beat faster? I don't believe it. My hand is pointing down, right here. Don't you feel your heart beating faster? Why don't you let me touch your conscience and see if your heartbeat speeds up, so that I can tell if you are telling lies without conscience? Okay, then. When Du Jiqiu said this, he suddenly stopped, then looked down at his hand that was just covering his right breast, then raised his head to look at Chen Changliu, and found that the smile at the corner of his mouth could no longer be concealed. At this moment, her face suddenly turned red, and the redness reached her neck. She was so embarrassed. She covered her erection with her hands under Chen Changliu's command. This scene was too. Chen Changliu. Stop right there, you hooligan. On the streets of Guangnan at night, a man and a woman, the man is tall and handsome, the woman is tall and beautiful, one is chasing, the other is hiding. The hearty laughter and crisp voices echoed under the starry sky. Chapter 13 Mother and Daughter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After sending Du Jiqiu off, Chen Changliu did not return to the hotel, but went to an internet cafe to check which township markets met the requirements. According to Chen Changliu's idea, the best journey is within 2 hours by car or motorcycle, but as he checked, he had a new idea. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Chen Changliu returned to the hotel to rest. After Du Jiqiu and Chen Changliu separated, she walked in the community with a smile on her face, showing that she was in a good mood. Although this bastard is very talkative, it's fun to be with him. Recalling her experiences over the past 2 days, she found that this man had too much mystery, and he had a maturity and knowledge that did not match his age. Opening the door and changing slippers, she was suddenly startled by a voice. "Jiqiu, where have you been? Why is your phone always off? You came back so late, don't you know how worried your mother is?" Du Jiqiu turned on the light, patted his chest, calmed down his frightened emotions, looked at his mother sitting on the sofa, and said in a soft voice. "Mom, why didn't you make any sound? Scaring people can kill people." Du Jiqiu's mother is Ning Mei, a middle-aged beauty with shoulder-length curly hair, which makes her face look smaller, phoenix eyes, a straight nose, red lips, and a silk one-piece pajamas, with perfect curves. The whole person's temperament is elegant and charming. She looks only about 30 at the age of 40. If Chen Changliu were here, he would definitely say that only such a middle-aged beauty can give birth to a beautiful school beauty like Du Jiqiu, and such a middle-aged beauty may be more lethal to boys than Du Jiqiu. Ning Mei sat on the sofa in the living room, looking at Du Jiqiu and said. "You came home very late these 2 days. What on earth did you do? And I heard from the guard that a boy sent you back. Are you in love? Which boy made our little princess fall in love? It's rare. But, I think you high school graduates are a bunch of brats, not mentally mature at all. Mom doesn't want to interfere in your affairs, but Mom still advises you not to fall in love so quickly. After all, falling in love with an immature boy will not produce any results." The content of Ning Mei's chat with Du Jiqiu is completely different from that of most parents in this era. It's not preaching or making demands, but not interfering, just guiding and giving her own suggestions. It's not that Ning Mei is very open-minded, but there is no way. Du Jiqiu has been very sensible since childhood. Not only is she beautiful, but she also has good grades. They don't need to worry about her as parents at all. She is always the child of other people's families in other people's mouths, and they are too busy at work as parents and are often away from home, so how can they have the confidence to make so many demands and preach? Of course, Du Jiqiu's understanding does not mean that he is also emotionally sensible, so when Ning Mei heard that her precious daughter came home very late at night and was sent back by a man, she had to rush back. After all, she only had this cabbage. Du Jiqiu rolled his eyes, sat down next to Ning Mei, hugged her arm, and said coquettishly while shaking. "Oh, Mom, you have so many eyes. I did come back very late these 2 days, and someone sent me back, but it was not a love affair at all. Your daughter has high standards." Du Jiqiu happily told his mother everything that happened in the past 2 days. "Mom, you don't know how much I felt accomplished when we made 2,000 yuan tonight. Hee, I can finally make money on my own, but I'm a little embarrassed that we wanted to help Chen Changliu, who was so pitiful that he could hardly go to college. But who knew that he was the one who led us to make money now? You don't know that his grades are not as good as mine, Xiao Qian, and aping, but these 2 days I found that our brains can't keep up with him at all. 2 beauties, one big and one small, sitting together, can be said to be wild lilies and daffodils, one with a graceful temperament, elegant and fragrant, and the other pure and delicate. The prodigal son Chen Changliu in his previous life would definitely drool when he saw them. Ning Mei felt relieved when she heard Du Jiqiu deny being in love from the beginning. After all, this cabbage of her family had never lied to her since she was a child, but when Du Jiqiu told them what Chen Changliu had done in the past 2 days, she was surprised. Is this something a child who just graduated from high school can do? Purchasing goods and setting up stalls, that's nothing, but in the end, he said that he would directly mobilize classmates to help sell goods, so that students from families with difficulties would have a way to make money during the summer vacation, and more importantly, he was able to persuade wholesalers to pay a deposit first and then pay the balance after selling the goods. This couldn't help but surprise her. Such a high school student is really very, very good, but as she listened, she kept looking at Du Jiqiu, because she found that her own Bai Kai's tone was a little different when she talked about Chen Changliu. After observing, she found that every time she talked about Chen Changliu, her mouth corners always unconsciously tilted up slightly, her heart beat and her eyebrows frowned slightly. It seems that this Chen Changliu has a very good impression in her daughter's mind. This is not a good sign. Ning Mei can confirm that her daughter has a good impression of Chen Changliu, but it has not risen to the point of liking. But it's hard to say in the future. In the following conversation, Ning Mei hinted Du Jiqiu intentionally or unintentionally not to fall in love so early, but she didn't know how effective it would be. Chen Changliu didn't sleep well that night. He had a dream. In the dream, there were all kinds of women who appeared in his life in his previous life, and in the end, Du Jiqiu appeared, and he was doing all kinds of radio gymnastics with her. When he woke up in the morning, Chen Changliu found that he had drawn a map, and he was still on edge, and it took a long time to ease. He smiled bitterly and said to himself, "Oh my God, the young body is really excited." In the previous life, there was no such a tense posture when I woke up in the morning. TSK. It seems that this body is hungry too. Warm tips: if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will deal with it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 14, Childishness and Conspiracy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Changliu was busy all day. He rushed to Heping Mall alone in the morning. In addition to continuing to buy goods for sale tonight, he and Sisterly went to another stall to look at the last stock. The quality of clothes that are out of stock is not necessarily bad, but they may be out of stock, the style may be a little too late, or the color of some clothes may be a little questionable. Of course, most people may not be able to see the clothes with color problems. After 2 hours of hard work, the cooperation method was finally confirmed. With a deposit of 10,000 yuan and the final payment after the goods were sold, the two parties decided to start receiving the goods the day after tomorrow. The clothes included polo shirts, t-shirts, and casual pants. The quality was not bad. In the end, the agreement was reached at a price of 7 yuan a piece for tops and 8 yuan a piece of pants. After reaching an agreement, Sisterly smiled so happily. Excluding logistics, labor, warehousing and other costs, she can earn about 2 yuan from a piece of clothing. It seems like they don't make much from a single item, but if Chen Changliu and the others have 10 groups of people selling, each group can only sell about 50 items a day, and they only get 1,000 yuan, how can they not be happy? Chen Changliu used his motorcycle to pull the goods back to the small warehouse. Zhao Lin, Pang Wei and the 3 girls were already there, helping to unload the goods. Everyone reported the results of their contact with their classmates. After summarizing, it was confirmed that 26 people were willing to try. Of course, these 26 people were not only from their 2 classes, but also from other classes in the same grade. Okay, then you are responsible for informing them to gather here at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We will still conduct a brief training as usual. At the same time, we must continue to look for people. After all, the more the better for us, and the current 26 people may not all be able to persist. After all, not everyone is suitable for this job. After confirming this matter, Chen Changliu also told everyone the result of the discussion with Sisterly. For the other 5 people, they felt that the price was very cheap and they were more confident. This weekend, the sales of the 3 groups in the evening were a little higher than yesterday, but now they are led by Chen Changliu to a higher level. They no longer have the excitement of last night, but are looking forward to their fission-like next plan. After a night of silence, 26 students gathered together the next day. When Chen Changliu reiterated the issue of remuneration, the eyes of these students became brighter. Money is always the most motivating factor, 30 yuan a day, and there is a commission of 1 yuan for every item sold. If I sell 30 items in a day, wouldn't my income for that day be 60 yuan? Calculated in this way, the income of 2,000 yuan a month is unbelievable to them. Many parents only earn 500 or 600 yuan a month. I have told you about the treatment issue. We will give you a unified price for each batch of goods. Some people will definitely think, if I sell it at a higher price, will the extra money belong to me? Yes, the extra money must belong to you, but as I said before, it is your problem whether to raise the price or not. But if you cannot reach the sales volume we have set for 3 consecutive days, it will be a pity. The end of our cooperation, don't worry, the unified price I set for you will definitely be cheaper than what's on the market, and the sales volume won't be too high. As long as you find a suitable location and boldly promote, you won't have any problem completing the sales volume. In one afternoon, he also demarcated the area according to their own wishes, and completed a series of things such as how to select the spot for setting up street stalls, training on sales skills, and so on. Then they were given a day to check out the site, and work officially started the day after tomorrow. For half a day, Chen Changliu talked eloquently in front of 26 classmates, with clear logic and control of the audience. This made Chen Changliu another little surprise in Du Jiqiu's eyes. After all, training 5 of them and training 26 people are 2 completely different concepts. How many unknown sides does he have? After finishing work in the evening, everyone gathered in the small warehouse to tally up the results of the past 3 days. After statistics, the current cash is 12,100 yuan, and there is inventory worth more than 4,000 yuan. There is no way, it is normal to have inventory when doing clothing business. Let's go have some porridge and then have a good sleep tonight. We will be even busier starting tomorrow. The next morning, I contacted Sister Li by phone. Sister Li directly used a truck to pull the goods over. The first batch of goods was 5,000 pieces. Xiao Du, this is your warehouse, okay? It's almost catching up with my warehouse. Did you invest a lot of money? How much did it cost to rent this warehouse? Sister, I didn't spend any money. This is Zhao Lin's vacant warehouse and they haven't rented it out yet, so I borrowed it first. When she heard that this warehouse of more than 100 square meters belonged to Zhao Lin's family, Sister Li raised her eyebrows and felt even more relieved. It took 6 people a lot of time just to unload, count and inspect the goods. After the agreement was signed and the money and receipt were settled, the 2 parties officially started cooperation. After Sister Li left, Chen Changliu looked at the clothes that took up half of the warehouse and sighed in his heart. This is his first pot of gold, the starting capital for him to live a new life and start a new life. In fact, it is relatively profitable to make tail goods. In later generations, he heard many cases of people in this era making millions a year from tail goods clothing, and some people even made over 100 million a year from tail goods, but this is not his vegetable garden. It would be too unambitious for a reborn person to focus on a career as small as Pangku. Everything is ready, and the battle for the startup capital will officially begin. Alas, thinking about my experience of rebirth in the past few days, it is hard to describe. In other people's novels, they can earn tens of millions or tens of millions of yuan after rebirth in a few days. As for me, I have been working hard for the past few days, and even dragged my best friends and classmates, and even used the beauty trap, but I only made a few thousand yuan. Alas, are there any reborn people who make money slower than me? Feelings aside, I will continue to set up the stall in the evening. Chen Chongsheng and Jing Chang, 2 good friends and self-proclaimed competitors, were depressed for 2 days because of what happened 2 days ago. Not only did they not thank Chen Changliu, Zhao Lin, and Pang Wei for their help, but their hatred became even stronger. After all, I was embarrassed in front of my goddess and so many classmates that day, and Du Jiqiu and the other 3 chased Chen Changliu and the others, which made their hearts of the proud sons of heaven even more unbearable, especially Chen Chongsheng, who has always felt superior to his half-brother. Not only does he have a better material life, but he also studies much better than Chen Changliu. But now he has become a joke in his eyes, and he can't stand it even more. People are sometimes really strange. They dare not find those who embarrass them, but they can transfer these hatreds to those who help them out, and they have always looked down on them. In the evening, the 2 met at a dessert shop near Fulan Street. They chose this place because it is close to Du Jiqiu's home and it is a major street for travel. There is a chance to meet. Students' ideas are sometimes so naive, but this is also what many students of this era do subconsciously. Jing Chang, have you heard that Chen Changliu and Du Jiqiu actually found many classmates to sell clothes, 30 yuan a day, and there is a commission? Why is Du Jiqiu mixed with Chen Changliu? We should cooperate temporarily. It is dangerous to continue to let them mix together. There is no impenetrable wall in the world, especially with as many as 26 people involved. It is impossible not to be known. Hearing Chen Chongsheng's words, Jing Chang also frowned. Do you have any ideas? We can do this. Chapter 15, Ungrateful Bastard. Let's part ways in peace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Changliu and Du Jiqiu were heading to Fulan Street. The motorcycle was given to Pang Wei. His stall was a bit far from the warehouse. Chen Changliu was pushing a tricycle that Zhao Lin got from someone unknown. Du Jiqiu was walking next to him. People were talking and laughing. This strange combination became the object of contempt for passers-by. Everyone had only one thought in their minds: a flower stuck in cow dung. Such a beautiful girl actually got the better of a poor guy riding a tricycle. Chen Changliu, how many people do you think can persevere? I don't know, but I know that only by hard work can you gain something, and only by improving can you get deeper. Du Jiqiu became confused again. Is there any connection between giving and elevation and depth? What nonsense are you talking about? Is it another dirty word? Every time you say something wrong, you must have something bad to say. No, really not, it's just the literal meaning. Maybe I remembered the last sentence incorrectly. After all, my academic performance is not good. Really? Du Jiqiu was dubious. Chen Changliu said seriously, of course it's true. But why are the corners of your mouth twitching? I know it's not a good thing. As she spoke, she started to get started and patted Chen Changliu's arm. Du Jiqiu didn't know why, but she always liked to get started when she was with Chen Changliu. She was less and less able to hide her arrogance in front of Chen Changliu. No, she should be the lively and cheerful side. The quiet side in school was much less. The two people's fight looked like a couple to outsiders, and this scene was also seen by Chen Changsheng and Jing Chang, who wanted to meet Du Jiqiu by chance, and their eyes almost burst into flames. Damn it, what kind of relationship do they have? I've never seen Du Jiqiu be so close to any man before. Chen Changsheng was about to explode. He and Jing Chang were in the same class as Du Jiqiu. It could be said that they should be first served. Their grades were also good, and they always wanted to show off in front of Du Jiqiu, but they knew that they had a very distant relationship with Du Jiqiu, and they also applied for the National University of Science and Technology in the college entrance examination because of Du Jiqiu, but now, they felt a strong sense of crisis. After all, this side of Du Jiqiu had never appeared in contact with them. Let's follow and see where they set up their stall. Okay, let's go. Everything went so smoothly, business was good, and Chen Changliu and the two cooperated tacitly. They made money while talking and laughing throughout the night. They were in a good mood, but Chen Changsheng and Jing Chang, who were hiding and peeking from a distance, were in the opposite mood. Their jealous anger never subsided, because even Du Jiqiu would open the bottle cap for Chen Changliu when he helped him get mineral water, and Du Jiqiu took the initiative to pass tissues to Chen Changliu, etc., which were not acceptable to them. If it continues like this, who knows when it will become a proactive act of giving water and actively helping to wipe away sweat. Chen Changliu and the others ended today's work in a happy mood, while Chen Changsheng and Jing Chang saw Du Jiqiu being sent home, and after agreeing on a time, they went back to their homes exhausted. At 10 o'clock the next morning, all 26 students arrived. They were divided into 15 groups in total. Some people like to work alone, while others like to form a team to be brave. Chen Changliu has no hard requirements, as long as the sales volume reaches the target. After 2 hours of busy work, 5,000 pieces of clothing were finally collected for them at once. After signing, everyone left with the clothes they received. Watching his classmates being dragged away in large and small bags on bicycles, Chen Changliu could already see that they would come back with stacks of banknotes. Overnight, no matter whether it was day or night, many people wearing school uniforms appeared on the streets of Guangnan City selling clothes at street stalls, all under the guise of helping clothing factories clean up their inventory. The clothes are very cheap, costing 15 yuan a piece, and pants costing 18 yuan each. Hundreds of pieces of clothes piled there are really like a clearance sale, attracting the attention of many people. The bold ones will start shouting when they see pedestrians passing by, but there are also the timid ones who will not say a word when no one asks, and will only respond restrainedly when asked. However, there are still relatively few such people. Every night they would summarize the sales volume to Chen Changliu so that Sisterly could adjust the goods in time. When the first day's summary came out, except for Chen Changliu, everyone else was not calm. There were 1,165 items. This money is so profitable. I made nearly 10,000 yuan a day. Oh my god, I couldn't even think about it before. Yeah, I can already imagine what my dad's expression will be like when I take a photo of my tuition fees in front of him, hahaha. TCH, according to what the gangster said, your situation has become smaller. Even without this group of classmates, we can earn enough tuition by selling it ourselves. Hey, originally we wanted to help the gangster, but now it is he who takes us flying, I'm so embarrassed. Chen Changliu saw all this and said with a carefree smile, let's go eat seafood today to celebrate. In the next 2 days, sales increased steadily, and Chen Changliu had asked Sisterly to transfer the goods tomorrow. Sure, there's good momentum, but there's also fuck up. Rogue, there are a total of 3 people who have proposed to quit tomorrow. They are all the ones with the best sales performance. As far as I know, they are planning to go it alone. White-eyed wolf, Zhao Lin angrily reported to Chen Changliu that another person had quit. Now he is responsible for the follow-up task in the team, so he knew it immediately. Chen Changliu patted his shoulder, asked him to sit down, and handed him a bottle of mineral water, while others also looked at him. Crocodile, there's nothing to be angry about. Anyway, we will have more than a dozen people joining us tomorrow, and they think this business is too simple. They think that they sell well and can make more money by buying and selling by themselves. I don't deny this, but they haven't thought about objective factors. You should know that we set up stalls these nights. The stalls we set up are completely different from those in stores. If there are fewer clothes on the table at the back, it will be difficult to sell. It can be said that there must be a certain backlog of stalls. If they buy too little, it will be difficult to sell. Do you really think that you can sell 30 pieces if you buy 30 pieces? Besides, their purchase price is not as low as ours, and their competitiveness is not that strong, and their good sales ability is one aspect, but in fact they ignore our scale effect. Hundreds of clothes are piled there, and the price is cheap, giving people the feeling that the manufacturer is clearing out the warehouse, so, don't be angry with them. We are just in a cooperative relationship with them. They don't owe us anything. There is no such thing as an ungrateful person. It's better to part ways in peace. After Chen Changliu's explanation and guidance, the other people finally looked at this matter with a peaceful attitude. Chapter 16 Attack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, 17 new students from number 15 middle school were added. Although what Chen Changliu and the others did was not publicized everywhere, many people still knew about it in a small area. Some people earn more than 100 yuan a day in basic salary plus commission. In this era when fast food only costs 3 yuan, it is indeed a high income. The salary of white-collar workers in Guangnan City is just over 2,000 yuan. The first batch of students who joined, how can you not be envious? So the second batch of 17 people stayed after screening. It's still the same process as the first batch, but this time during the training, when Chen Changliu talked about choosing a location, he focused on the town's market every 3 days, which was also a good sales point. At that time, he saw many people think about it. Isn't it normal to have relatives and friends in the countryside? He believed that there would be people who would take the initiative to go to the towns and villages to attend the fairs. After all, they were the second batch, and many good stall spots had already been occupied by the first batch of people. After allocating the goods to them again, Chen Changliu and the others waited to count the money. It was expected that the sales volume in a single day would definitely reach 1,500. If they were more powerful, it would not be impossible to reach 2,000. Tonight, they will sell the high-priced clothes they brought in for another night and clean up the remaining clothes as much as possible. Tomorrow, the 6 people will no longer work at the stall, and they will mainly focus on providing logistical support and scheduling for others. Although they were pretty good, they still had 30 or 40 pieces of clothing left. At 12 o'clock in the evening, Chen Changliu continued to send Du Zhiqiu home. This had become a habit for more than a week. Chen Changliu, are we really going to stop running the stall? I think our energy can still cope with it. I'm still quite nostalgic. Chen Changliu said with a hee-hee smile, do you have the kind of mentality, if you don't go in, you will never know the passion and pleasure inside? Once you go in, you will feel very comfortable and enjoy it. After saying that, Chen Changliu jogged a few steps forward to put some distance between him and Du Jiqiu. What nonsense of passion and pleasure, Chen Changliu, why don't you speak seriously? I'm so angry, please stop. Du Jiqiu, angry and blushing, immediately went after Chen Changliu. After more than a week of getting along with him, it could be said that Du Jiqiu already knew what words meant for driving. Although she had heard them a lot, it still made her blush every time she heard them. At a corner in the distance, Chen Changsheng and Jing Chang were following a few social youths. Jing Chang pointed at Chen Changliu in the distance and said, "Cousin, this is the bastard, please help me beat him up to vent my anger." "Mad, take my lead." The man next to him is about 170 centimeters tall, has half-long hair, and is dressed in a fashionable style. He is Jing Chang's cousin, a gangster who hangs out in another area. When Chen Changsheng heard Jing Chang say that Du Jiqiu was his son, he felt very uncomfortable. He opened his mouth, but in the end he did not refute. He felt weak in his legs when he looked at the few gangsters next to him. The young gangster, cousin Jing Chang, brushed the hair on his forehead and said disdainfully, "No problem, just watch. Just remember to invite my brothers to the bar for a drink later." After getting a positive answer, he took his 3 younger brothers and walked in the direction of Chen Changliu. Chen Changliu and Du Jiqiu, who were fighting, had no idea that trouble was coming. When they approached a few gangsters, they realized that the road was blocked, and Chen Changliu saw malice in their eyes. He knew it was definitely not a good thing. He had a lot of fighting experience. He immediately analyzed the advantages and disadvantages of both the enemy and ourselves. The young gangster A and a few younger brothers were also attracted when they saw Du Jiqiu. They only had one sentence in their hearts, "It was so damn beautiful." Then he became jealous of the boy who was ready to accept their lesson, and even looked at Chen Changliu with an even more fierce look. There were still pedestrians walking on the street at this point, but not many, and everyone would stay as far away as possible when encountering something like this. Chen Changliu stopped when he was 5 meters away from them, and then he whispered to Du Jiqiu, "You will run when I tell you to run. Remember, don't look back," and then call crocodile and pang pang. Du Jiqiu is not a fool, and he will not cry and shout, "No, I won't leave, I want to die together," like the one in the TV series, and then stay there for a long time. She knew what was going on now. There were too many such things in this era. She had never seen it and heard too much about it, but she was still a little worried about Chen Changliu being here alone. "Remember, call the crocodiles first. It doesn't matter whether Uncle Hat calls them or not." Du Jiqiu heard the undoubted attitude in Chen Changliu's words, although she didn't know why she had to call crocodile and the others first, and she said it didn't matter whether she called Uncle Hat or not, but over the past week, she knew that Chen Changliu was very opinionated, and she finally chose to nod in agreement. It's a long story, but it only lasted about 10 seconds. When the little gangster saw Chen Changliu and the top beauty standing still and biting their ears, he couldn't bear it anymore. "Boy, come here, I have something to do with you." As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Changliu shouted, "Run!" Du Jiqiu immediately ran in the opposite direction. This series of changes made several gangsters stunned for a moment. When Gangster A saw Du Jiqiu running away, he didn't let anyone chase her. The woman was attracted by his cousin, and his family had to eat under his cousin's house, but the target person didn't run away, so that's right. "Maid, deal with this kid." After saying that, he rushed over with a few younger brothers. At this time, Chen Changliu had already taken off his belt. With the belt in hand, he was more confident. He practiced Sanda for a while after entering society, not because he liked it, but just wanted to keep fit. Going to the gym was too boring, and it was not as interesting as practicing Sanda. Gangster A rushed over with 3 younger brothers. "Pa. Oh my God. Ah. Ah." The screams came, and the 2 gangsters who rushed the fastest had a belt mark on their faces. They covered their faces and retreated in pain. This also scared Gangster A, and he hurriedly shouted, "Get your weapons." Several people took out batons from their pockets and surrounded Chen Changliu. In this era, it is abnormal for gangsters to go out to do things without weapons. Chen Changliu was relieved when he saw that they took out batons. At least batons are not as lethal as steel pipes and machetes, but no matter how lethal it is still a baton, and the other party is well prepared. Chapter 17, Counterattack, Peak. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Chen Changliu asked Du Zhiqiu to run away, Chen Changsheng and Jing Chang, who were hiding not far away, were dumbfounded. This was not what they wanted. According to their plan, Jing Chang's cousin and his men should beat Chen Changliu in front of Du Zhiqiu, making him beg for mercy, thus undermining Chen Changliu's image in Du Zhiqiu's heart. But now Du Zhiqiu has run away, how can they attack him? However, since things have come to this point, they have no other choice but to beat Chen Changliu and vent their anger, but when they saw the baton was revealed, they were dumbfounded. After all, they just wanted Chen Changliu to suffer a little physical pain, and they really didn't want to play so big. Jing Chang, why did you use the baton? Will it make a big fuss? If the matter gets bigger and we are found out, it will affect our college admission. How do I know? I can't go out to stop it now. I think my cousin knows his limits. After Du Zhiqiu ran away, he turned into another fork in the road. He didn't see anyone chasing him, so he immediately took out his mobile phone and called Crocodile. As soon as the call was connected, Du Zhiqiu said in an anxious tone, "Zhao Lin, come here quickly, Chen Changliu is surrounded by 4 gangsters, in." After the address was reported, the call was hung up by Crocodile. At this time, Crocodile had just sent Li Ping away, and received the call, and immediately rode his motorcycle to speed up and rush here. After the call, Du Zhiqiu returned the same way. It took less than 5 minutes to go back and forth, but when she came back, she was dumbfounded, because she saw Chen Changliu chasing those gangsters, and the gangsters who were arrogant just now were now running away. However, when Chen Changliu saw Du Zhiqiu returning, he stopped chasing the gangsters. "Why are you back? Didn't I ask you to go away?" Chen Changliu was angry because of the fight, and his tone was still a little aggressive. The blood on his forehead was still flowing, and many parts of his body were painful. It would be fake if he didn't say he was not angry. He paid a heavy price for beating up a few hooligans, but those hooligans were definitely worse off than him. He was ruthless, but he hit them carefully so they wouldn't get hurt too badly. It was precisely because he was ruthless that those people collapsed first. Du Zhiqiu didn't feel any dissatisfaction with Chen Changliu's tone. She just felt a dull pain in her heart. She immediately pulled Chen Changliu to the curb and sat him down. She took out a tissue to wipe the blood off his face. On the street, a beautiful girl was carefully wiping the blood off a big boy with blood on his face who was panting. This scene made Chen Changsheng and Jing Chang, who were hiding not far away and were dumbfounded because Chen Changliu beat up Jing Chang's cousin and others, furious. They didn't know how many jealous jars they had overturned, and they wished that the one bleeding was themselves. Du Zhiqiu's focused and careful movements also made Chen Changliu feel warm. All his anger disappeared instantly, and he sat quietly on the curb and looked at Du Zhiqiu. After Du Zhiqiu wiped the blood off Chen Changliu's face, he found that the wound on his forehead was still bleeding, and said worriedly, "The bleeding hasn't stopped yet, let's go to the hospital." Looking at Du Zhiqiu's worried face, Chen Changliu grabbed her hand, which was soft, tender, and smooth. This was the first time Chen Changliu held her hand. Because Du Zhiqiu was worried about Chen Changliu's wound, she focused her attention there, so she didn't care too much about Chen Changliu holding her hand. The touch was very good. If it was normal, Chen Changliu would definitely touch it a few more times and then tease her a few words, but at this time he didn't have this idea. After pulling Du Zhiqiu to sit next to him, he smiled at her and said, "It's okay, wait until the hospital wounds are almost healed, let Crocodile apply some medicine to me later." But just then, a motorcycle drove over quickly and stopped next to them. Crocodile was relieved when he saw that Chen Changliu and Du Zhiqiu were fine. He got off the car and said gloomily, "Rogues, what's going on? Who did it? Dare to bully us?" "I don't know, I haven't seen those guys." "Okay, we should go to the warehouse to get some medicine, otherwise Uncle Hat will come soon, and it will be troublesome then." In this era, as long as the fights are not serious, basically both parties rarely call the police, they all go back to their own homes and find their own mothers. In this era, there is no warning that the winner will go to jail and the loser will be hospitalized. The police are basically reported by passers-by. On the way to the warehouse, Crocodile called Pangda and told him not to rush to the scene of the incident and go directly to the warehouse. In the warehouse, Crocodile was applying medicine to Chen Changliu. They were good at this. After all, they had fought many times before. After listening to Chen Changliu's story, Pang Wei frowned and said, "We are familiar with the gangsters in this area, and they dare not trouble us. I guess they are probably from other areas, but why did they come to you? You haven't offended anyone in the past few days." Chen Changliu couldn't figure it out, and he was depressed. "Hey, why didn't the villains around me become less intelligent after my rebirth, a little dumber, and talk more? Wouldn't it be better if they always liked to show off in front of the protagonist? In this way, I don't have to rack my brains to think about it." Chen Changliu didn't think about it because he couldn't figure it out. "Forget it, it's useless to think so much. Anyway, tonight is our last day to set up a stall. Just be more careful in the future. Run when you need to run in the future." Hiss. "Crocodile, be gentler." "Ah, it hurts." The crocodile, who was applying medicine on his back, patted the slightly bruised area unhappily. "Why so many requirements? If you think my hand is too heavy, then let Du Jiqiu apply it for you." Since Chen Changliu took off his shirt and applied medicine to Crocodile, Du Jiqiu's face turned red. She peeked at Chen Changliu from time to time. She didn't expect this guy to have such a good figure, with sharp muscle lines and angular muscles. Yes, there are abdominal muscles, very sexy. While she was thinking about it, she heard Crocodile's words and thought that she was discovered peeking at Chen Changliu's body. Her face turned even redder. She turned her head away quickly, waving her hands and panicking. I can't. Originally, Crocodile was just joking. Who knew that Du Jiqiu's reaction surprised Chen Changliu a little, and seeing her blushing face, she seemed to understand something, but he didn't expose it. After applying the medicine, Chen Changliu requisitioned Zhao Lin's motorcycle. Anyway, her home was close to here. Chapter 18. Does he want to confess to me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the crocodile and Pang left, Chen Changliu patted the back seat of the motorcycle and said, "Let's go, campus beauty of Du University, I'll take you home." Du Jiqiu hesitated. "Is it really okay? Are they still waiting there?" "Don't worry, no one will be there, they are not that brave." "But you're injured, is that okay?" Hearing Du Jiqiu's question, Chen Changliu was unwilling. He curled his lips, looked at Du Jiqiu and chuckled. "Girl, are you questioning my strength? Didn't you peek at my brother's naked body just now? How about getting muscular?" Chen Changliu's teasing made Du Jiqiu blush, but she still countered, "Who peeked at your naked body? You are narcissistic, muscular, and have no breast muscles, Okay, get in the car and let's go. My chest muscles are not as developed as yours. You can hardly see your toes when you look down." Du Jiqiu sat astride the back seat of the motorcycle. When he heard Chen Changliu's words, he slapped him on the back angrily, causing Chen Changliu to gasp in pain. "Humph, you still talk so much when you are hurt, you deserve it." Du Jiqiu said she deserved it, but she didn't hit her a second time. However, she looked down at her chest, which blocked her view downwards, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Chen Changliu couldn't see her expression and movements. Chen Changliu said while starting the motorcycle, "Hold it, I don't care if it falls. I'll give you a suggestion. Holding my waist is the safest. Let me tell you, brother, I am like a wild cow now. I can plow 2 acres of fields at once, so holding my waist feels the most secure." Chen Changliu inadvertently started driving again, but this time Du Jiqiu understood clearly that dirty words like men are cows and women are fields have always been common among the people, especially some middle-aged women who usually don't keep the door open when they joke, so Du Jiqiu, I can understand it too. This time she didn't speak, and directly expressed her dissatisfaction with practical actions. She stretched out her little hand and directly found the soft flesh of Chen Changliu's waist. "Ah, it hurts, it hurts, let go. While Chen Changliu cried out in pain, he reached out to grab Du Jiqiu's little hand, which was still soft and tender. Chen Changliu grabbed hold and didn't want to let go. He was rough-skinned and fleshy, and the pain was not as exaggerated as what he shouted out of his mouth. Despite the pain in his waist and the feeling in his hands, he still chose the feeling, which kept stroking Du Jiqiu's little hand. Du Jiqiu originally heard Chen Changliu's exaggerated cry of pain, with a proud look on his beautiful little face, but soon she realized something was wrong. The gentle touch from her hand was like an electric current. Gave him an electric anesthesia directly, and his face and ears turned red, but soon, shyness overcame the feeling of being electrocuted, and she hurriedly freed her hand from Chen Changliu's. I hate it, Chen Changliu, you are just a gangster. Chen Changliu didn't feel embarrassed at all. It was a kind of enjoyment for him to flirt with such a beautiful school beauty who was beyond his reach in his previous life, a tactile and spiritual enjoyment. Hey, du university beauty, if you don't pinch me, will I grab your hand? This is a slap in the face. By the way, what kind of hand cream do you use? Let me introduce it. When I have a girlfriend in the future, I will also buy her a bottle so that her hands will be as smooth and tender as yours. Du Jiqiu was a little confused. Chen Changliu's words made her think of it, and her thoughts were in a mess. What do you mean? Is Chen Changliu steering the conversation towards his girlfriend? And then he wants to confess to me. Should I refuse? How to refuse? Will it be too cruel? Will he be sad? In fact, Du Jiqiu still doesn't know how she feels about Chen Changliu. Her friends are sure of it, and he still has a little bit of admiration for the current Chen Changliu, but she has never thought about her lover. Du Jiqiu was thinking wildly, but Chen Changliu didn't hear what she said. He couldn't help but turn his head and look back, only to find that her face was red. Her expression was sometimes shy, and sometimes she was lost in thought, not knowing what she was thinking. Even though he was a prodigal son in his previous life, he still doesn't understand Du Jiqiu's psychological activities. A woman's heart is as deep as a needle, but now he didn't bother to guess. He took his hands directly, put them on his waist, and said, Okay, I've helped you, let's go, I'll take you home. That there was no words all the way. Du Jiqiu still hadn't come out of his own world. Returning to the empty home, Du Jiqiu felt that the home was lifeless. His father came back occasionally and his mother came back once a week. It was not as interesting as Chen Changliu's warehouse. Thinking of Chen Changliu, Du Jiqiu smiled unconsciously. When she thought of what just happened, she suddenly fell into confusion and thought. She didn't know what she felt about Chen Changliu, whether her affection for him was between friends or between members of the opposite sex. In the next few days, as Chen Changliu expected, sales increased in consecutive days. Now they have more than 30 stalls, and these stalls are different from the ones they used to set up stalls at night markets at night. They basically set up stalls during the day and night. The stimulation of money made these students full of motivation, and sales exceeded 2,000 pieces for 2 consecutive days. At the same time, several people went directly to the market held every 3 days in the lower towns. The sales volume was beyond their expectations. On a good day, more than 150 pieces could be sold. Now Chen Changliu and his 6 people can be said to be sitting and making money. The net profit of more than 10,000 yuan a day makes the other 5 people surprised every day. This business has entered the right track, and Chen Changliu has begun to think about what path he should take next. Studying and starting a business to make money are definitely inevitable. Studying will not change anything, but starting a business to make money must be well planned. Every day when he has nothing to do, he brags and chats with Zhao Lin and Pang Wei in the warehouse, and occasionally teases Du Jiqiu. He likes to see her cheeks blushing, and then Du Jiqiu comes to him to settle accounts. He feels very interesting. He often rides Zhao Lin's motorcycle alone to travel around Guangnan City. He just wants to see if there are any business opportunities. He bought a second-hand Nokia mobile phone, which is not much money, just a few hundred yuan. He was also laughed at by Zhao Lin, Pang Wei and others for making money but buying a second-hand mobile phone, but Chen Changliu was too lazy to pay attention to them. He was used to playing with smartphones in the future. Now he has no desire to see those mobile phones on the market, which are feature phones for making calls. Chapter 19. When I go astray, you have to help me get back on track. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On July 15, Du Jiqiu's admission notice to the Chinese University of Science and Technology arrived. On July 21, Chen Changliu, Feng Qian, and Li Ping received their admission notices. On July 25, the college admission notices for Zhao Lin and Pang Wei also arrived. At this time, the six of them remembered that Chen Changliu, Du Jiqiu, Feng Qian, and Li Ping were all studying in the same city. While Zhao Lin and Pang Wei stayed in Guangnan City, Zhao Lin and Pang Wei were a little depressed. During this time, they had become friends with Li Ping and Feng Qian and were thinking of further development. However, the two women seemed not to have this idea yet and could only attack slowly, but it was not a good thing to separate the two places in another month, but it could not change anything. It was only at this time that the two of them regretted not spending more energy on their studies, but young people leave just as quickly as they come. In the evening, Chen Changliu and the other three went directly to the internet cafe. In 2003, no game was more popular than Counter-Strike CS, and Zhao Lin and Pang Wei were even more addicted to it, especially Pang Wei, who brags about how awesome his sniping skills are all day long. As soon as you enter the internet cafe, you can hear the sound effects of CS. In this era, some computers in some internet cafes do not have headphones, or the headphones are broken, and some people even unplug the headphones intentionally. Fight in the hold. Okay, let's go. Go. Hearing these sound effects that I haven't heard in almost 10 years, this is youth. Young people in this era would have a boring youth without Counter-Strike. The three of them found their row positions and opened the Haofeng platform. Only then did Chen Changliu realize that he had forgotten his account number and password and had to register again. Rogue, what's wrong with you? Why did you forget your account and password? Pang Wei looked at Chen Changliu, who was still mumbling, and said doubtfully. Chen Changliu smiled and said calmly, "What's the rush? You go and get a room first. Remember, we are bandits." Half of the fights in internet cafes in this era are caused by CS. If you open a regional network, the players are all in the internet cafe. When playing, every player must be vomiting fragrance. Every time he kills, he must be taunting the opponent. If you kill a novice a few times and encounter a bad-tempered one, then it will be normal for you to do it. Fortunately, nothing like this happened to Chen Changliu tonight. On the way back, Pang Wei and Zhao Lin unanimously attacked him. Rogue, you are the worst tonight, causing us to be abused all the time. It seems like you suddenly no longer know how to play. Chen Changliu smiled bitterly. He really didn't know how to play anymore. He even forgot which buttons to press to buy which gun. Hey! Come on, you're not much better. You've been holding a sniper all day long, but you haven't seen how good you are at killing. You're the only one who's just trying to snipe away. It's so shameless. The streets at night left behind the youthful memories of three young people. The next day, Sister Li personally came to pledge the goods. Now she was very concerned about Chen Changliu and the others. There was nothing she could do about it. This was her largest single customer so far. She is now very happy that she made the right bet. In nearly a month, Chen Changliu brought her more than 60,000 yuan in income. Even if this business can only be run for 2 months, the income of tens of thousands is already considerable, and can almost buy a house. If it is maintained well, we can still cooperate every winter and summer vacation in the future. Sister, look at how happy we are to cooperate. Can the price be at a discount? Xiao Chen, what I'm giving you now is a very good deal. You don't know that the tail goods market in Lingnan is not easy to do now, and the price is much higher than before. After removing all kinds of costs, I will only earn you 1 yuan. If you don't want a large quantity, I won't do this business even if I kill you. After the two chatted for a while, Chen Changliu could only sigh and said, "Okay, sister, let's not talk about the price, but there is something you have to help me solve, right?" Seeing that Chen Changliu had given up talking about the price, Sister Li breathed a sigh of relief and asked suspiciously. "Say, if I can help you, I will definitely help you. It's like this. We will definitely slowly reduce the purchase and clear the inventory before the end of the month. but you also know that we can't clean it all. If this is the case, then our losses will be a bit big. See if you can help us deal with it so that we can reduce our losses." Hearing Chen Changliu's words, Sister Li frowned and wondered. "Xiao Chen, this is going to embarrass my sister. You also know that there are no such rules in this industry. It is normal to be a shopper in the clothing industry." "I know, but you also know that we still have to go to school, so we can't keep selling. If there is no solution to this problem, we may reduce the purchase volume in mid-August to deal with the backlog of clothes. By then, you and I both sides have losses, don't you think so?" Sister Li looked at the calm Chen Changliu, with only a smile on his sunny and handsome face. She could not guess that his words were just a normal statement of facts, or they contained a threat, but no matter which aspect it was, Sister Li had to weigh it carefully. After all, if Chen Changliu and the others started to reduce the amount of goods purchased in mid-August, just to get rid of the remaining goods as much as possible, she would suffer a lot. She was also calculating how much Chen Changliu and the others would buy. Although she didn't have specific data, she could guess a range from the purchase volume and the interval between purchases. After a long time, she asked, "What is your plan?" After hearing Sister Li's words, Chen Changliu knew that he had succeeded. "Sister, what do you think about this? Before we finish, we will sort and pack the remaining clothes into different styles, remove all the dirty ones, and then return them to you at the purchase price." After hearing Chen Changliu's plan, Sister Li immediately shook her head. "No, it's absolutely not possible based on the purchase price. I can only pay 4 yuan a piece. Xiao Chen, I am only willing to take it back for the sake of our happy cooperation. You go and ask who else agrees to do this." "Sister, you are too shameless. You have to earn us 3 yuan for each piece. You sell the front legs and get back the back legs and earn 3 yuan for each piece. It is too shameless. It is too shameless. Sister, a person with noble moral character like you should be better able to understand us students from poor families who work hard every day to go to college." Chen Changliu told half-truths and half-deceptions to get a little excited, and then offered a top hat, just to show Sister Li the performance. Sister Li looked at Chen Changliu who was playing there and was extremely speechless. If you say that the other students who help you sell goods are poor, she might still believe it. If you say that you used to be from a poor family, I also believe it. But how much have you earned in this month? Is this what you call a poor family? Well, who doesn't know how to act? He immediately said with a sad face. "Xiao Chen, it's not that I don't understand you. There are seniors above me and juniors below, and in between there are workers and stall rent. Think about how much I spend. I don't make much to begin with. If I give you the original price if I quit, I won't make much money in the past 2 months." In the warehouse, Du Zhiqiu watched Chen Changliu and Sister Li talking endlessly, and she could feel that both of them were telling lies with their eyes open. The two finally reached an agreement, and Sister Li was responsible for recycling the goods that Chen Changliu and the others did not sell at a price of $1 lower than the purchase price. After seeing off Sister Li, I saw Du Zhiqiu's teasing when I returned to the warehouse. "Hey, you two are so fake. If you are not tired, I will be tired just listening to you." Chen Changliu sat down next to Du Zhiqiu, smelling the faint fragrance of milk, stretched out with enjoyment and said, "Today is my lesson for you. There is a saying that says, don't believe a man's mouth, even though it is quite comfortable sometimes, so, in the future, remember to ignore the sweet words from the flies that are swarming around you, otherwise you will cry when you are defrauded of money and sex." Du Zhiqiu was so angry that he slapped him on the arm and said bitterly, "You were defrauded of money and sex? Humph, am I such a superficial person? Nothing good comes out of my mouth all day long. A gangster." Chen Changliu chuckled, "I don't have any money, but I still have some sex. I hope someone will trick me into sex. How about you come and trick me? I will never resist." "Chen Changliu, you are really thick-skinned. You are a gangster and shameless. If you try harder, the filth will be yours. You are a pure bad person. I think I have to stay away from you to avoid being contaminated." He said he wanted to, but it was serious and he stayed away from Chen Changliu. Chen Changliu shamelessly ran to sit next to Du Jiqiu. He liked the smell of milk. Du Jiqiu wasn't angry, he was just joking. After spending a month with Chen Changliu every day, he was already immune. As soon as he sat down, Chen Changliu licked his face again and said, "Hey, the university beauty, I was wrong. I shouldn't have molested you, I shouldn't have flirted with you, I shouldn't have teased you. Hey, when I went astray, you please help me straighten it out." Du Jiqiu's face turned red again. "Damn it," he said, drawing again. "Don't I want to lose face? Also, this guy said to help him straighten up, this tone, this expression, what do you want to say?" Thinking of this, Du Jiqiu didn't care whether he was shy or not. Faced with this situation, no matter how much he talked, it was useless. The best way was to get started directly. Chen Changliu, I will fight with you." The two chased and fought in the warehouse. When Chen Changliu wanted to run out of the warehouse, he bumped into 3 uninvited people at the door, which immediately turned the originally pleasant mood into something unpleasant. Chapter 20. This is the first time I have heard such shameless words. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It turned out that the 3 people they met at the door of the warehouse were Chen Aigua, Li Xiaomei, and Chen Chongqing. Chen Aigua had no expression and looked very serious. He had always been like this. Li Xiaomei looked at him with shining eyes and a smile on her face. This was something Chen Changliu had never had since he was a child, but Chen Changliu could see a hint of greed in his eyes. Chen Chongqing also had a gloomy and angry face, because he had just seen Du Jiqiu and Chen Changliu fighting, which made him unable to calm down. However, he quickly concealed this expression, because they came here for a purpose today, and they still had to smile. Chen Changliu spoke first. "Why are you here?" His tone was calm and cold, and he did not let the 3 people in, let alone introduce Du Jiqiu. Chen Changliu's tone made Chen Aigua frown, and Li Xiaomei's smile faded a lot. Chen Chongqing was smarter and said quickly, "Brother Chen Chong, you haven't been home for so long, and your parents are worried about you, so they found you after asking around. Go home quickly. As a son, how can you be angry with your parents for so long? Jiqiu is here too, please help us persuade my brother. He is a stubborn person." Chen Chongqing pretended to be a filial and considerate person, and hinted that Chen Changliu was narrow-minded. He also pulled Du Jiqiu in, and observed whether Du Jiqiu's face changed when he heard his words, which was also to hit Chen Changliu's image, but he was disappointed. Du Jiqiu's expression did not change at all. "Just kidding, in the past month, she has heard from Zhao Lin and Pang Wei, and she knows enough about Chen Changliu's hardships over the years, so it is impossible for her to be dissatisfied with Chen Changliu's attitude." "Chen Chongqing, don't call me Jiqiu, we are not that familiar." After saying that, he looked at Chen Changliu again, showing a bright smile and said, "I'm hungry, I'm going to the restaurant in front, you can find me there later, we'll eat together." Chen Changliu nodded. He knew that Du Jiqiu's smile was an encouragement to him, and he went to the restaurant to wait for him, and also left them space. Looking at Du Jiqiu's completely different attitude towards him and Chen Changliu, Chen Chongqing was already furious in his heart. He didn't know what kind of drug Chen Changliu had given Du Jiqiu to make Du Jiqiu so close to him. It was obvious that his grades were much better than Chen Changliu's, and he was also a good student in the eyes of the teacher, while Chen Changliu was a naughty and poor student in the eyes of the teacher. After the failure of Xing Chang's cousin to intercept, they never found another opportunity, but Chen Changliu and others were doing well in setting up stalls. Everyone in a small circle said that he had made a fortune, and he had made at least 100,000 yuan in the past month. This made Chen Chongqing jealous. If he had 100,000 yuan, how many things could he buy? He rolled his eyes and told Li Xiaomei about this matter. Li Xiaomei was also shocked by the news. She didn't expect that the bastard had such a good fortune that he actually made so much money. The mother and son hit it off and decided to take the money from Chen Changliu, and then directly persuaded Chen Aigua. Li Xiaomei was confident. From childhood to adulthood, as long as Chen Aigua spoke, Chen Changliu did not resist much. He only resisted the matter of dropping out of school, but Li Xiaomei still didn't believe Chen Changliu's repeated resistance. She seemed to have seen that 100,000 yuan would be in her hands. But he didn't know that the current Chen Changliu was reborn, and he was no longer the Chen Changliu who was willing to give in to keep that little pitiful family affection. That Chen Changliu was dead. Li Xiaomei began to speak well of Chen Changliu in front of Chen Aigua, saying that it was not a good thing for Chen Changliu to be a child outside, and he should be allowed to go home as soon as possible. It is said that Chen Changliu has made 100,000 yuan during this period. It is too dangerous for a child to hold so much money. As a father, you should keep it for him and leave it for him to marry a wife in the future. Chen Aigua was surprised to hear that Chen Changliu made 100,000 yuan outside, but he was still a little embarrassed to ask a father to take the money earned by his son who ran away from home and keep it for himself. Chen Chongqing also kept a side drum with Chen Aigua from time to time, always saying that he wanted to buy a laptop. Now many students who go to college have bought laptops, which is more helpful for learning. What Chen Aigua cares about and is most proud of in his life is, of course, Chen Chongqing's admission to a key university in his honor, so he usually responds to Chen Chongqing's requests, but the price of a laptop reached tens of thousands of yuan, which is already 1/3 of their family's savings, so he hesitated. In this way, with Li Xiaomei and Chen Chongqing, mother and son, working together, Chen Aigua was finally persuaded. Chen Changliu looked at Chen Chongqing, who was eloquent, and smiled slightly. Don't show off your cleverness in front of me, Humph, tell me, what do you want? I have been kicked out by you, you won't let me go. I will not drop out of school to work to support your studies, you are not qualified. After hearing Chen Changliu's words, Chen Aigua had not spoken yet, but Li Xiaomei was unwilling. Changliu, what about your brother? He is also doing it for your own good, why are you so ignorant of good people? Huh, funny, for my own good, let me work to support his studies is for my own good? I don't know how you have the face to say such a thing. This is the first time I have heard such a shameless word. Chen Changliu's merciless words made Li Xiaomei's smile disappear. His face was extremely ugly. He looked at Chen Aigua angrily. Chen Aigua had to stand up at this time and scolded, Changliu, how do you talk to your mother and your brother? We taught you this way since you were a child, and the school taught you this way. Huh, my mother, my brother, what did you teach me? Ha ha ha. Chen Aigua's words made Chen Changliu's dissatisfaction in his previous life burst out completely.